delish.
Jane Lynch.
Yes, ma'am.
What's your drink?
I am drinking a matcha latte with soy milk. Hopefully I don't have the green on.
No, you're good.
Am I good?
You're good. I've got a decaf soy latte.
I would have that minus the decaf.
Yeah, I can't drink caffeine
Really?
anymore. I heard that you drink a lot of caffeine. Is this right?
I do. There's a place called Kings Road in Los Angeles, and it's so strong that I actually have to drink a half cap. So I do that so that I can drink it all day long.
All day?
Yeah, I don't want to get like this in the...
But how are you not jittery then?
It's a slow buzz. If you know how to do it, if you know how to work it, you
just
give
build
yourself
it all day
a
long.
slow buzz.
All right, here's my big question.
Yes, ma'am.
How did you get here?
Well, a car drove me to Rockefeller Center.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were
I'm
gonna
a comedian. I'm always going to find the joke.
How did you get here? You know what I mean? Like, how did you end up in this, what looks from the outside to be the most amazing killer job?
It is the most amazing killer job and career. I love it. Well, you know what? I didn't set out to do anything.
You never had some kind of big dream goal?
I had like a general way I wanted to feel.
Yeah.
And a lot of it had to do with adulation. And
adulation?
Yes, about, and it was just kind of vague. And it was, I remember somebody saying a lot of people come to Los Angeles to star in their own lives. And I think that's what I was trying to do, you know, and it was a very immature young thing. But as it turns out, I love to act. It's my calling, if there's such a thing. There's, it's my compulsion.
Yeah.
I'm not happy if I'm not doing it. So, and I always say that if I weren't doing what I'm doing today, I would definitely be doing a production of Gypsy in, you know, the south suburbs of Chicago
Theater,
if I had to.
Do you think it's a mistake sometimes for young people to set that one
Yes.
goal?
I think it's a terrible thing to tell kids that they have to have a goal, because what rolls in at your feet is really where your destiny is. Very rarely is a life supposed to be lived doing this, you know, trying to find your way to that. You know?
How did you find your way? Because you had a series of sort of happy accidents.
I
right?
sure did, yes, and that was the title of my memoir, yes.
I didn't do that on purpose.
But it is happy.
It is available because I read it last night.
Yes,
Can I admit
read
that?
it as you just said, which I'm very impressed with. Yes, it certainly was, but I didn't. You know, I just did what was in front of me. I said yes to everything. My need to act and my need to make funny and my need to let that be my life, including my social life and everything else, was so strong that I didn't look at like a project and say, oh well, I'm above this, or this is you know, something that would be good for my career. I never looked at it that way. So I ended up doing a lot of shows in church basements and fooling around with friends and coming up with silly little movies. I used to do little movies with Jill Soloway, who is now the showrunner of Transparent.
Yeah.
She's from Chicago,
She's
too.
kind of famous, too.
Yeah, she's kind of famous, too.
So you're from south of Chicago,
yes, south suburbs, yeah.
And grow up with what, a sister and a brother?
I have an older sister, 2 years older, younger brother, 2 years younger.
How do you get into theater in the first place? I
Well,
mean, is it like Glee? You're in the high school chorus?
Sort of. I mean, I was in choir and I did plays and such, but you know, it wasn't like a thing in my family that we were like a showbiz family, or we loved to sing.
Your dad was a singer,
My
right?
dad was a singer, and he was also a banker.
Did your parents want you to get into music and theater? Were they encouraging?
Not really. You know, when it came, they loved that I did plays in high school, but when it came down to it, I remember when I was about 12 years old, I told my mother I wanted to be a professional actress, and she said, oh, honey, no. That's not going to happen. And then she ended the conversation with, not everybody gets what they want, which I think was more kind of her projection on me of her own maybe frustrated, I don't know, ambitions. But that just destroyed me.
For years, though, I mean, skipping forward, right? You do some high school theater, and then this is what I found amazing about your story, is that you are doing commercials and
I did anything they gave me
through for
years.
Yeah,
well, it wasn't a slog. I think you look at it, you know, outside looking in, you would go, oh, that poor kid, she was just slugging, trying to make it. But I wasn't. I was having a blast. And I had this red Volkswagen Golf, and I was driving all over Los Angeles doing, I'd go from a commercial audition to a voiceover audition to a two-line part on, you know, Empty Nest or something like that. And then do a play at night. Yeah. And
now you look at your like IMDb, your page with all the credits.
Yes.
It's like, it's got to be more than 100.
I guest starred on a lot of television shows. Some of them just like 2 lines long. Some of them bigger. And I was just telling somebody a little while ago that my agent was very good at calling the casting people and saying, look, you say you want a doctor, male, for this role. Would you consider a woman? And so I got, sent to a lot of those auditions and actually got some of those roles that were originally
they were
written
supposed
for
to be men.
Yeah, exactly.
Why do you think that is?
Well, I think that there is kind of a knee-jerk habit of casting men in authoritarian roles, and this whole idea of a woman it doesn't even come to their mind. And I think that my agent was smart enough to say, "Could you see a woman?" And then I come in and I'm 6 feet tall, and although I didn't feel it inside, especially at the time, carrying myself with some authority, I got a lot of those roles, and then they get to feel like they're thinking outside of the box.
Was there a moment in your whole path where you thought, okay, now I've made it?
Well, I never tried to make it.
Yeah.
But that being said, when I did Best in Show with Christopher Guest, that was not just that it would bring me to some prominence, because although Christopher Guest movies are great, they're not like
they're amazing. Sorry,
right, but they're not in the. Yeah, I guess they're
not
kind of
everybody's
culty.
seen them. I'm in the cult, right?
Yeah,
so
well, good.
I knew you before Glee. Yeah. From Best in Show, and then Mighty Wind.
Mighty Wind,
right?
and For Your Consideration.
Yes.
So when I got Best in Show, it was, for me, a huge deal, because artistically, I had seen Waiting for Guffman, and literally fell out of my seat watching it at the Angelica here in New York, going, "Oh my God, this is amazing! It's so much fun."
And for people who don't know, is it all ad-libbed?
It is. It's all improvised.
Right.
All of well, of course, the story is nailed down tight, but there's no dialogue written, and we improvise all the dialogue. So I watched that movie going, I have to do this. But it was a preposterous fantasy.
And how did you get to do it then? How did you meet Christopher Guest?
I was doing a lot of commercials in the year of 1999. It was the year of Jane Lynch in commercials. I did like the Nexium being probably my most prominent work that you might know me from. And I did a Kellogg's Frosted Flakes commercial that was directed by Christopher Guest. And I didn't
nobody remembers now that you did a Kellogg's Frosted
It's
Flake
online.
commercial.
You can go to the YouTubes and it's there.
And he was directing the commercial.
He directs commercials like I think he still does all the time. Anytime you laugh at a commercial, he's directed it.
So did that then lead the Best in Show and Mighty Wind kind of
led
to
very
Glee,
much.
knowing who you were?
Oh, Glee? No, not well. Who knows? Who's to say? How do you connect those dots? But I started kind of. I don't know, because it's so general and vague. But when I did the 40-Year-Old Virgin, I got into like kind of this unofficial comedy ensemble group that was, I ended up doing Role Models and then Talladega Nights.
And that's a Judd Apatow.
Yes, Judd, I'm very grateful to. He put me in 2 movies in a row. And then Role Models, that was Paul Rudd, because I had met Paul through the other movies. And then Paul Rudd wrote a pilot with Rob Thomas and Dan Etheridge, who were the Veronica Mars guys, called Party Down. And we turned that into a series. That became a series for Stars, and that became kind of a cult hit as well. And Adam Scott was in that, and Lizzie Kaplan, and a bunch of people all of us are doing different things now. But that was kind of a moment in time that was really before any of them had really hit.
And now I'm going to ask you one question about Glee. Do you hate the tracksuit now?
No.
No.
I do not hate the track. I don't wear it, but there was something about, and I have a few of them, but there was something.
You do not? In real life?
Yes, in fact, and this is kind of embarrassing to admit, I'm going to be wearing one at an event where they're paying me a lot of money to recreate myself as Sue Sylvester, which I said I would never do if you read my book. But I'm going to Hawaii, and I will wear a tracksuit.
It's Hawaii,
and I will blow the whistle. Yeah, I will do what the people want. But yes, what I loved about the tracksuit, first of all, it was a uniform, and I kind of like uniforms. I kind of wear the same thing, and you'll see this shirt a lot if you're watching interviews with me. It feels good, and it just hangs right, and I don't have to worry about it. But I love a uniform, and going to work, because I'm hard to fit.
Yeah.
Going to work, I knew exactly what I was going to be
Every day
facing.
you're wearing the red tracksuit.
And they made them for me, so they fit me perfectly, and like I said, I kept 4 of them.
What's been the biggest obstacle?
My own self, and my own doubting mind, and the thoughts that get in there that tell you things that just aren't true. And that's really the only obstacle. I can't say that being a woman has been an obstacle, being gay has been an obstacle, being 6 feet tall has been an obstacle, or that being deaf in my right ear has been an obstacle. None of it.
People probably don't know that about you. You're deaf in one ear.
I am deaf in one ear, but it's a very good ear, and it's almost bionic. I love harmonies. I can hear harmonies. I love music.
You sing.
I do.
You sing a lot.
Yes, I do sing a lot, especially lately, much more than I ever sang on Glee.
Is it true that you're singing with orchestras
I
right
am.
now?
I'm going to be singing with the symphony, the Pittsburgh Symphony.
What do you do? You show up and practice with the orchestra? And
We do.
What do you sing?
Well, it's called the Great American Songbook plus one Guatemalan love song, which remember I sang a Guatemalan love song in The 40-Year-Old Virgin, and I do that one with the full orchestra, which is kind of fun. But it's basically, I came up with the title before I put the show together because I didn't know what to call it. And it's just music I love, especially the stuff my dad loved that he turned me on to. And, you know, you rehearse with it. It took me about 3 or 4 months to put it together with Brad Ellis, who was the piano player on Glee, who also happens to be an orchestrator and a really great guy. So I travel around with him.
It sounds super fun.
Yeah, it's good. And then I've been doing a cabaret show for the last 2.5 years with Kate Flannery, who was Meredith the Drunk in the Office.
Do you sleep?
Yeah, a lot.
But you drink a lot of caffeine.
I do, yes.
I mean,
Delicious.
honestly, I'm sure you get this question all the time of the like, how do you do it all? How do you answer that?
Well, how do I answer it?
Because you're doing a million different
I
things.
do a million different things, but there's a lot of, I have a lot of downtime. Last week I did nothing. I slept late, which for me is 7:15, because I go to bed at 6:40 p.m. And I'm serious. I'm in bed by about 6:30.
Really?
Listening to the YouTubes and reading a book.
6:30 at night.
Yeah, right after dinner.
In LA, the
and
sun's
I eat
still
at like
out.
5. No, I'm like 112 years old. That's how I act. The sun is still out, and then I'll draw the curtains out to make.
That's probably what keeps you. You look so young.
Well,
that's
thank you
no,
so
I'm
much.
serious, but that's probably helps. You
I
get
get
a lot
my
of sleep.
I do get my sleep. Yeah.
So, if you had to give advice, right? I know it's cliche, but people are going to want to know. You know, there's going to be young, struggling wannabe actors watching this.
Well, don't struggle and don't be wannabe. You know, struggling is truly a choice. But if you've got some goal that you think you need to be somewhere by the time you're some age, that's so stupid. Don't do it. Don't do it. I never had that goal. I was really lucky. I never looked ahead and said I have to be here by this and there by that. I was 40 by the time I started making money at this. So, I mean, and I was happy before that.
My daughter wanted me to ask you,
Yes.
your first paid acting gig.
Oh, good question. Let me think. My first paid acting gig was probably a commercial. What was my first commercial? It was for some kind of a bank. It was for some kind of a bank in Chicago, a local bank in Chicago.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
So Second City was before that, right?
It was around the time of Second.
Around the time.
Oh,
Do you get paid
you know
for
what?
Second
Yes.
City or
Yeah.
no?
So Second City was my
That
first
might have
paid
been.
gig.
Okay.
Yeah, I was in the touring company, and I was about 27, so that would have been 1987.
So now you're hosting live. You've got a Nat Geo special. Tell me about
Right.
that. That's about to air.
Well, it's called Earth Live, and it's on Nat Geo, and we have 51 cameras set up all over the world in 25 locations, 6 continents.
51 cameras.
51 cameras, and they're different technologies for all of them, but what they'll be able to do is photograph the dead of night as if it were the middle of the day. And it's the first full moon of the summer, so there's a particular lunar pole that kind of draws the animals out much more to, you know, engage with each other, and it's all live. So we'll be going to all of these different places, and it'll be unpredictable, it'll be fun. It's going to be extremely educational and I think amazingly exciting.
It's Sunday night,
Right.
And 8 p.m. Eastern time,
Yes, right.
5 out on the West Coast.
Exactly.
That's going to be fun. My kids
Yeah.
will love to watch that. Do you
Absolutely.
like the live hosting? Because you're also doing game night. Do you like that
I
more
do.
than
Oh no,
acting,
I love it all.
or you like it all?
No, I love it all. No, it's just great. I love it all. I like the variety, and you know, it feels to me kind of like the same thing, you know. And I love them all. It's really I play for a living. I put on makeup and I put on funny clothes. Sometimes they're funny. Sometimes it's a tracksuit. Sometimes it's a suit like this, and I just get to play. It's the best life.
Last sip? Are you done?
Oh no, I got more. I'm going to start licking on the edges soon.
Jane Lynch.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you for the
Great
drink.
drink.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.